Hello, everyone. Ian Ileana here. Much tanner than when I left, but I went to court and they just issued a continuance. It's not a no, it's gather more evidence, gather more subpoenas, hire a civil process server, hire a lawyer, a continuance. So, not the 100% upset that I was dreading. I don't know, you sit down and you get some perspective. The legal system, by even having this court case against the American government on their docket, recognize that there is a problem in this country. So my case is important, very important. Being told that I had to wait until next year to somehow subpoena the president, somehow subpoena Master Sergeant Miranda, and a representative from the United States Air Force. That's a year. I think I could do that. And I think by doing that, I will be able to show that you don't just sexually abuse someone in the military and expect to get away with it. And that is certainly the case for Master Sergeant Miranda. And that's certainly the case for the United States Air Force and the president, who is CEO of these people who run amok. So I'm going to do the very California thing and sip a smoothie and take stock of what happened. I can decide whether or not I want to continue in Los Angeles or I can leave, because I still will see them in court. But what is the true value? The true value is to have a record of damages done by the American government against the American people. That is the true win. It's not money for me, because American money is worthless. It's worthless because you buy things that break, you buy things that aren't good for you. Thank you, JH. I appreciate you. I hope you enjoy my music. I have some new stuff coming out. I just did a cover of Nicki Minaj. I have the Gem theme song. I'm obsessed with Gem and the Hologram. I think she is the coolest cartoon ever. But I have that coming out soon. It's like the first of the month. It should be out, at least by then. Going through today was super stressful because, I don't know, these agent provocateurs in California, bless them, bless them, bless them, bless them, because they're losers. They really are losers, because they try and provoke a rise out of me. And thank goodness for my service animal, because Los Angeles, whew, today was a doozy. So I get to the courthouse. They have someone with the same exact, well, close enough, the same name as me. So I go to the wrong courtroom. Therefore, I miss seeing the judge. So she's pissed at me. So this is why she says, next year. But it's also a blessing, because if I stay in America and anything happens, anything at all, I can add it as further damages, further proof that there is something fundamentally wrong with America, which I do with my podcast. I bring up the issues of a lack of compassion and empathy in our children, the lack of challenges for our children. Change.org/Save American Students. It's a petition I started because as much as I want to say, this person's bad or this military industrial complex is bad, they're people. They're people who grow up and they learn these behaviors, they learn to do wrong. But what if they didn't have to? What if they learned right from wrong? What if they learned to care about their communities and care about other people and see diversity? Well, if that is the case, then we might actually have a better country. Hello, Miguel. Oi, oi, oi. It's your boy, Ian Iliana. I'm here after going to the court today. What a mess. What a mess. I go to the wrong courtroom. I go to try and take the elevator, but the elevator is always crowded. There are no functional escalators. There's a huge problem with the escalators. There's only one set of escalators that is functional. And, their thing is, well, just take the elevator. And I say, well, I can't take the elevator because I feel uncomfortable. But I deserve to be comfortable. I deserve to be happy. So what am I going to do? I mean, not fight for my civil liberties, not see them in court in a year. And by the way, my veteran benefits should be coming through at some point. So, I don't know. I mean, if I leave for another country, I just leave this country to fall into complete ruin, and I can't have that. So, I'm going to be homeless, because I refuse to be under the thumb of these people, but I'll be happier. We don't see the stars anymore. We see the stars on television. We don't see the stars in the sky. I miss that. I used to live in a climate where you could see the stars more often. Maybe not as clearly as I would like, but you could see them. In LA, I'm lucky if I even see the moon. It's a big thing, and somehow I miss it all the time. So, agent provocateurs or not, I guess I'm just gonna fight. Be a cantankerous little fucker because, yeah, I guess that's just the American in me. How very old. But no, I truly believe that science in America is held back. I do believe that freedom of speech is being stifled. So what am I supposed to do about that except do a podcast and talk about it? I'm a little hot. I'm so glad that I have people here to witness this journey, because when someone does you an injustice, it's easy to be angry. And I yelled at the poor law clerk. Not yell, but I said, it's not fair. Which he doesn't want to hear, because, it's the law. I mean, the law isn't supposed to be fair, it's just supposed to be. And if it doesn't sit that well with you, then you need to change the law. If you feel like you weren't being respected through the ADA, because I am an American with a disability, and the fact that they did not have PTSD policy to allow me to take the elevator by myself. There were handicapable elevators, but I didn't get to them in time. And I should have done that. You see, you don't know what is available to you until afterwards, but then you can learn. So this is a fight. This is a fight for America, because America is suffering. And Donald Trump, our president, can only do so much. And even if he does amazing things, guess what? In 3 years and a couple of months, he's out. And guess what? They don't have anyone to replace him. And neither do the Democrats. And independents, bless them, they try. They try. I was born here. I don't know if people know this from my very, very sophisticated way of speaking while wearing the dirtiest shirt that I could possibly find. But I was born here. Therefore, I am eligible to run for president. I'm eligible to run for office right now. I don't know which is more important, being president of the United States or being mayor of a city like Los Angeles. But you see where I'm going with this. I can be homeless, but there is a position that I'm interested in. Oh, hi, Clint. How you doing? I got a continuance on my court case. It's not a no, it's not a yes, it's just a continuance. So that gives me more time to gather evidence, more time to see how America reacts and changes, and more time for me to make changes to this country, because I live here and I don't like it here. And that's okay. You could say that. You could say that you dislike aspects of America. Why don't we do something about it? And that's why I have this podcast. I hate LA, love me anyway. My main concern with Los Angeles are the temperatures. The temperatures that are allowed to exceed reason, to the point that forest fires occur because those trees don't get any water. I could do petition after petition after petition after petition, and I do. And I intend to do another petition to have Los Angeles irrigated again. That requires manpower. Sometimes you just have to cut the red tape and just start appealing to people and say, this just needs to get done. That's all. I mean, if you want to get paid for that, good for you, but it just needs to be done. So I'm going to get that done. And I'm going to get it done to change The roads in Los Angeles, from asphalt and concrete to recyclable materials, a composite of recyclable materials that would allow airflow through it to reduce pollution and also keep the cars that ride on top of it in tip-top shape. So, yeah. I could run for the position of office. I'm not really going to. I'm just going to be a community leader because as a community leader, I just speak to the community. I don't need an election for that. If you agree with me, I'm your community leader. If you don't agree with me, then I'm not your community leader. That's all. No election necessary. And as far as permits, I guess I could ask for that. Or I could just sue the EPA for not doing their job. Ah, there it is. You see, when one door closes, so many other doors open. I really don't like how this country is being run, and I really don't like agencies like the EPA or NASA who don't use science to benefit us and don't use law to push things further. If they knew that forest fires were occurring because of pollution, they should have enacted better laws. They should have enforced those laws. They should have had educational programs shown to kids, teenagers, adults. They should have bought ads on television. Hulu is offering $2.99 American dollars for 6 months limited ads. I don't need to change my fabric softener. I need to change my political leadership. I need to change America's attitude that glass and cardboard should be on somebody's lawn instead of put to good use protecting the environment, protecting you. I need to change that. So fuck it. I'll see about asking Hulu to do an ad and see if they will discount it considerably or give me free advertising. And if they don't, guess what? I have my own channel now. That is what America is. I mean, people talk about freedom of speech, and I'm going to read what you say there, Clint. I hope you can bring about change, my friend, just like I'm trying to do. I hope by working together we can make this a better place. And by this, I mean the world. That's how things function. It is hard to put down roots in a place that you hate. It is hard. At the end of Modern Family, I mean, it's not really a spoiler. I mean, the show's been off the air for quite a bit. But at the end of Modern Family, the gay couple who just got married decide that they're going to move to, I think, like the Midwest or something like that, a super conservative area. Leaving their family, leaving their friends, leaving what they know to build a new life. I think about that and I think not only is that brave, it's necessary. It is necessary to move into areas where you make people uncomfortable because eventually they have to see you. It is uncomfortable to see women after I've been sexually abused, but I have a mouth, I'm gonna use it. Woman on the bus put her arm in front of me, and she's trying to balance herself, so like, look, I don't want her to fall, but it made me uncomfortable, and I told her, this is making me uncomfortable. And you know what she did? And I wanna tell this story because I was feeling provoked, I was feeling targeted. I have PTSD from military sexual trauma, so my perception of the reality that is presented in front of me is always going to be skewed towards everyone's an enemy, everyone's out to get me, and mostly I'm right. But in this case, you know what this person did? They said, I'm sorry, excuse me, and they moved their arm from in front of my face. I don't know how to say thank you to that person for at least not knowing my story, still acknowledging the pain and anguish that I feel right now. The pain and anguish that I feel every day that I have to go outside because I don't own my own house. If I had my own house, I would still have to go to court in order to do most of the things that I have to do in life, but I would at least have that break, that personal space to say, this is my space. And this person saw that I needed personal space in a public space, which is hard. But they understood that. And even though I hate LA understands that too. Because I've noticed some changes and I thought I should mention it. They're changing the trains to make them wider, to space out the seats, to cover it with Wi-Fi and places to charge your phone or electronics. They understand that people who use public transportation, they're the future. People who use cars are the past. I talk a lot about saving Los Angeles, and I'm gonna do my best, but we need new cities in America. And Clint, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you because you do your podcast, and I want you to consider this. Consider that everything you love, everything you hold dear, you could probably take to someplace else. In about a week, not even a week, this Friday, I have to throw out everything in my apartment, everything, and be homeless because I don't have my full VA benefits at this time. And that should bother me, that should, but it doesn't. And the reason why it doesn't is because I don't feel like this place is my home. I don't feel like this is a place I want to put down roots. After I exited the courthouse, I had this giant fat man blowing smoke outside, and it just blows in my face, and I'm like, ugh, gross, just gross. But he's outside. It's the public. It's nasty, but he has a right within reason. There's certain areas where you're not allowed to do that, but I believe in freedom of choice. So I support smokers. I support people who make terrible choices. I just think they should be presented with all the facts. That's all. Just like I think that people do not understand what is going on with America. I'm going to read what you said, Clint. Young adulthood is a journey of finding where you belong, and sometimes where you belong might not be where you were originally from, but maybe in another town or state. I'm a nomad. I'm I think it probably is the fact that I'm First Nation, that I love to travel, I love to roam, I love to walk. Even though I am super injured right now and I am limping heavily, more heavily than ever before. And the Air Force injured my legs, and I have not recovered. And as I gradually become older, it's just going to get worse. But the reason why it is becoming worse is because with my PTSD from military sexual trauma, I spend most of my time indoors. And most of my time indoors, I don't spend active. And if I'm going to irrigate LA within the year before summer, before the temperatures get hotter and start the next series of forest fires, I could try and speak to Gavin Newsom or Karen Bass till I'm blue in the face. These people don't want to talk to me. They don't want to talk about the state, the city. They're not trying to hear any new ideas. It's not a new idea to restore the California River, restore its tributaries, and make water flow again freely throughout the entire state. But it is the best way to bring down those temperatures, make those trees healthy enough to be fire breaks at the very least. When the trees are as dry as they are, it just causes the fire to gain speed because it burns through it faster. I don't want to see this city on fire. I don't. So this homeless person with no job title, like a Captain America without a super serum, has to fight in court, draft lawsuits against Gavin Newsom, against Karen Bass, and against the president until I see results, while at the same time get permits to start undoing the damage that they've allowed to happen by not following through with environmental policies that could benefit this state. All while being homeless. But I might see some stars. And I don't know, I might actually talk to a few people. I've spent too long on the wrong side of Los Angeles. And I mean the wrong side. It's hard to even to think that way, because the other side of Los Angeles is Hollywood or comfortable. This side is a side where people are struggling, but they're trying to do something. With my PTSD, it was difficult, but I attended civic meetings for my community because I wanted to know what they're passionate about, because I'm living here. And I always say, if you're going to live in a place, you have to get involved. And they did a couple activities, and it just made me realize that this is a community that wants to do better, that wants to uplift its people. It's a shame that they commit hate crimes against LGBTQ, the people who oftentimes are single, have disposable income and time to go to rallies and make phone calls and posters and, do all the sorts of things that move things. But instead, victim of a hate crime. But that's because they don't see history. They don't know who they are inside. It's very easy to wear a shirt that says El Salvador, as I saw today at the platform. Someone just, El Salvador. It's a lot harder to say, really? Which tribe are you from? Do you honor your old ways? Do you know your history, your mythology? Even I am ignorant of everything that I come from. But I acknowledge that I'm ignorant. I acknowledge that there's so much more to learn. There's so much more to cherish. But one thing I know for certain is that transgender or two-spirit people were revered and respected in the community for First Nation people, for Native Americans. They were people who thought deeply, felt strongly. They were the heart of the community. When other people were single-minded, hunt, fuck, farm, fight. They thought that way too, but they also said teach, learn, ponder. They learned skills from both sides. And oftentimes they were the shamans and medicine men or women. They had a vital part, a role to play, and that is who I am inside. I would have loved to go to medical school, but I'll admit it. Surgery is so cool, but it is the dumbest thing that I have ever heard of. When you are so ill that someone has to cut you open and then figure out what's wrong, fix it, and then try and close you up before you bleed to death. They're brilliant surgeons. I still think they're fools, because you shouldn't have your patient in such dire straits that they need surgery. You should have your surgeon speak to primary care physicians and instruct them on what to look for so that they don't need surgery. I mean, granted, things go wrong all the time. But because of what? Is it because of environmental issues and stress? Is it because of poor diets? Is it because the water is contaminated? These are things you have to ask. As much as Western medicine is revered in these parts of the world, being a medicine or shaman or shamaness means that you look to hidden sickness, hidden illness. And sometimes it's not a physical body that is ill, it's the land, it's the water. Surgeons can do many things. I don't think they're qualified to clear a sewer or clear a chemical spill. And these are the things that we need to fix, we need to focus on. If you can't be 100% sure of the cleanliness of your water, the cleanliness of your food, and whether or not it has GMOs in it, then speak up. I agree with you, Clint, up to a point. One of the reasons why I want my VA benefits is because as a healer, not a doctor, but as a healer, I have come up with some novel ways to deal with PTSD, deal with stress, and I would love to open up a center for veterans. And I guess I could ask for a grant in order to do that. But I'd rather just do it with my own money. And they owe me money, so why not just start a charity for veterans and have them take some time to solve things on their own, because I noticed that I'm really good with animals. Like, really, really good. Like, going through the whole process today, my service animal was so stellar. I was yelling, I was screaming, I was frustrated. And this dog would not let me run off, wouldn't let me hurt myself, wouldn't let me hurt other people. You know, she patiently slowed down and walked. And I'm screaming at the dog too. You know, I'm just angry. I'm just super ticked off about the way things went today. And she's so well trained that she knew that in that moment, the right thing to do was just slow down and walk, to take breaks. That is a smart, clever dog. And every time I get frustrated and I say, oh, I could just do this on my own, I just think I don't have to do this alone, because I'm not alone. I've got a service animal. I think more veterans need that. If a service animal isn't appropriate for them in that, then they need at least one person, or they need to be that for themselves. I don't know. I really want to open up a wellness center for veterans, because when you exit the military and you have to go through this entire process of applying for your benefits, proving your case, all of that, it's overwhelming. And you don't always have family support. You don't always have friends. I love how I was talking to the LGBT Law Center and they asked me, you know, do you have any friends? Do you have anyone that you can turn to? And it's no. I mean, that's important, but I don't think people understand what that word means, friend. When you talk about friends, you're talking about someone you count on, not just someone you say hello to, not someone who just texts you on the phone. When you have a friend, that means you can call them and they pick up, or they call you and you pick up. That is what a friend is. I don't use that term loosely. All right, I'm going to read what Clint is saying. I don't know if you're still here, Clint, but I get off on my tangents. It's hard to read chat. Okay, your own worth and to know who you truly are so that you can learn from there how to find true peace, and from finding true peace you will learn to be happy no matter what your situation. You also have the Knights, brother. That's 306 people are backing you up. You know what? Thank you. Hi Tammy, hi, and thank you for commenting on my videos. I know I haven't responded. I've been going through a lot because I had to go to court today, and it's so emotionally draining to be in public, but it's soul crushing to just not have the immediate they were bad and let's just do justice. I mean, justice doesn't really function in that way, but I mean, that's subconsciously what you want to happen, even though you know that doesn't happen that way, but you want that. And I thought that if anything, someone would see all of the psychological damage and the torture, and I brought my documents to show, because I said, you know what, let me just enter in some evidence for continuance. So I'm going to go back to what Clint said. Your own worth. I'm worth more than American money. I know I'm asking for my veteran benefits, but I'm worth a better country. And I think this country is worth a better country too. I put down this country all the time because I have to be critical of it. I can't just ignore the bad parts. There are some good parts, and I don't know if I mention enough of them, but there are some good parts to living in America, being an American. The whole idea of I can do this all day. You can beat me up, you can injure me, you can warp my brain, but I'm still going to fight you. There's a reason why that resonates with people. There's a reason why Captain America comes off as both a goofy joke and also the biggest hero that you'll ever know. Because he doesn't stop, he doesn't quit. And he disagrees sometimes and speaks his mind and says he disagrees. Something to think about, I guess. So that's what things are going to be like for the week. I'm going to slowly but surely get through throwing out things, cleaning this apartment for whoever wants to live in it next. I'm going to buy myself a really nice tent and then find some place where, you know, they allow tents, and I guess that's where I'll sleep. while I continue to fight for my benefits and continue to enact environmental change in California, because someone has to. Someone has to, like Tammy says, reach out. I have PTSD from military sexual trauma. That means I prefer not to hear people speak that trigger my PTSD. I prefer to keep them away, but stuff has to be done. There are ways to communicate which are respectful. I just have a different etiquette right now because of being sexually abused by the United States Air Force. A different etiquette. It's like going to a foreign country. Some people just don't shake hands. I just don't like having people next to me anymore. I don't like people talking around me anymore. That's all. People can still communicate. I had to communicate with the clerk who said, stand where I can see you. And, you know, I could tell she was kind of pissed because it's just like she's trying to help and I'm not looking at her. And I tell her, look, I have PTSD from military sexual trauma. I'm very triggered right now. But I mean, I understand that's not you. Let's just get through this. Basically, is what I'm paraphrasing. But she was behind glass. I mean, unless she's gonna, you know, break the glass and try and like reach out for me, I felt a little bit less scared, a little bit less scared that I was going to be, you know, assaulted in the middle of the hallway. I was still uncomfortable, I was still triggered, but I mean, the woman was behind glass at the time. I had a harder time going through the hallways and, you know, just hearing, you know, so many people, and I was already stressed from everything. But like I said, I've got my amazing, amazing, amazing service animal who takes care of me. Oh, Clint, if you go through certain platforms, you can, because I don't know about YouTube, but I think at least Twitch has a, does your topic deal with adult issues, adult themes? And if you put that it deals with politics, graphic violence, sexual, you know, themes, or cursing, drug use, it will put an age filter on it. YouTube could probably do that too. And also, you know, it's your live, it's your chat. I would say that for you, you have to start maybe considering moderators. I have to consider that too. You know, people who are regulars, you feel comfortable with, who you can empower to have the ability to remove comments or, you know, bounce people from chat rooms who should not be there. At the same exact time, though, Clint, at what point are we going to have adult conversations with kids and just understand that kids grow up into adults. They don't stay kids forever. I said in an earlier live that I tried to play Fortnite, and I know that it's not for everyone, but I had to stop playing because it was like a mall scene, and like there was this thing of, you don't know, who is a mascot, and a mascot is, just someone that you're supposed to hunt down and shoot, or they flip it, and then this mascot starts shooting you, and all I can think is kids kids find this entertaining. They find that fun, and parents are okay with that. I mean, gun violence happens everywhere at this point. I mean, you can't stick your head in the sand. I just didn't like how flippant it is about the sanctity of human life. And I say this as a person who plays violent RPGs, but I mean it's like I only play violent RPGs with like magic and fantasy, and just like really take you out of this human aspect of it. And it's not just because, I don't want to see people that look like us being injured by violence. It's also maybe there are other solutions than violence for violence. I started playing Avowed, and I looked at the stats, and there's actually a stat for peaceful resolutions. And I don't know. This is my first playthrough. On another playthrough, I may just change my mind and be the wrathful god that I am. But in this playthrough, I made some negotiations. I used diplomacy. I have a petition, change.org/mutant ambassador. I have that because I think we need ambassadors, and not just for countries. I think we need to have ambassadors as paragons of human rights to go from country to country saying, what do you need and how can I help? On diplomatic missions. Look, America wants to raise tariffs on Canada. I don't. They didn't ask me. But America is going to do that. I say, well, as not a diplomat, but as the mutant ambassador, I can free myself to go there and help them with their forest fires, help them with their floods, help some of the indigenous people who live there who need someone to advocate for them so that they can better zone roads to keep them off protected reservations. So when chemical spills happen, it is far away from First Nation water supplies. Kanawaki people of Suzanne Creek. Too much violence I want to agree with you, Utame. I want to agree with you, Clint. There is a time to be violent. There is a time to defend yourself. I may come off as a pacifist, but I'm just a more effective negotiator. I respect the sanctity of human life. When I was being assaulted because I'm transgender on the 9th of February, I tried to diffuse the situation. I tried to appeal to local law enforcement to intercede on my behalf. They didn't. And then finally, I gave this person ample opportunities to stop. And when they didn't, I took matters into my own hands and I choked that motherfucker. And I will do that again. So the idea of too much violence, it doesn't really sit well with me, because it's the same exact thing of, there being boobs on screen, and then you shield your kid's eyes. What's your kid gonna think? Boobs are more interesting that way. If you send your kid out of the room when, a gun or drug use is on a screen, what are they going to do? They're going to be fascinated by it because now it's taboo. So why not let them see it, but also talk to them? Talk to them about what they see on screens. Talk to them about what they see on the news, what they experience in school. Having a kid doesn't mean that you never talk to them, that you never take opportunities to give a life lesson. Oh, and I agree with you exactly. And I had several conversations with local law enforcement after the incident, because I told them, I tried to call for law enforcement. Law enforcement didn't want to show up. So if I have to defend myself, I'm going to defend myself. And if people are going to be injured by that, I have to say, I agree with my law enforcement that I spoke to, that use any and all means necessary. But sometimes you don't need to. I used appropriate force because I'm not Bruce Lee, but I can injure a person if I have to. And this person was a weak little man. It just didn't seem right. I wouldn't feel right going all out on a case like that. Is it a fight for my life? Yes. But appropriate force. Know your strength, know your worth. Of course, my life is worth something, but know your strength. Oh, hi, Jaden. Hi. We are actually having a conversation about young people in chats. I know you mentioned that, cursing. Cursing is bad. And I agree. Any learned person should use their words correctly so they don't have to resort to base language. However, this is my chat, and I've clearly said that I'm a military sexual trauma survivor. I'm going to talk about that. And I don't care what age you are or what age someone like you is, but if you can read and your parents taught you to read, you know what I'm talking about. And you know that I'm going to talk about it. And you know that sometimes I get angry about it and I will curse. And if it upsets you, if anything I say upsets you, go to your parents, go to a trusted adult, go to someone who you can confide in about how it makes you feel. Because you deserve to be safe and you deserve to be heard. But this is my space, so I'm going to continue to be myself and talk about what's going on because most people with PTSD and military sexual trauma, they shut down. They lock themselves in their own world of nightmares. And I'm in a world of nightmare, but I'm going to talk about it because when you talk about it with other people, it becomes less scary and it becomes something that you can get through. By having these lives, they've empowered me to be more vocal about saying when I'm uncomfortable. Before, I would just flee public transportation, flee back to my apartment. Now it's, why don't I just say I'm uncomfortable? I don't have to go into why I'm uncomfortable. I just have to say that. And sometimes people respond to that. That is a powerful thing. And hello, Jaden. Thank you for asking how people are today. Clint, unless YouTube is telling you to do more, just be yourself because it is up to YouTube to make changes. If they want to gatekeep and put restrictions on your show so that you can have an adult only chat, let YouTube do that for you. Don't stress yourself out. I'm not going to stress myself out because I'm talking about my personal trauma. I'm talking about what is happening to me as an adult. And honestly, kids need to hear what is happening to people like me because I mentioned it at the beginning, I think, of this or the podcast before. I believe it was the podcast before that, like, Project 2025 is saying that before you graduate high school, you still have to do the Selective Service Act, but you need to take the ASVAB, a military entrance exam. I know that with my sexual trauma and PTSD and the many times I talk about how much the Air Force has affected me, that isn't everybody's experience. Some people form lasting friendships, they have great leaders who are role models who teach them how to be a better person. That happens. And we need heroes. We need people to say, yes, I can save this country. I can do something for this country. I would rather have Americans at least be able to understand what that means than say, now the military is for other people. What do you do when even the military can fight? Governor Newsom called up the National Guard for these forest fires like they were nothing. Just people that could stand in front of a raging fire and put it out. Most of them aren't trained in that. Most of them aren't fit for that. But it doesn't matter. These are people who said, if the country needs me, if my state needs me, I'm there for them. I joined the New York National Guard because I lived in New York, and New York needed people to be aware at all times. From 9/11 to the Chelsea truck that went on the sidewalk, the bombings that happened on like 23rd Street. It's been a while, so if I get some things wrong, the Times Square, shoe guy, whatever, they need people to be aware. So I said, that's me, because I'm the type of person who, when I ride public transportation and I see a bag that is unattended or in a conspicuous place, I ask people, does this belong to you? Or I get off the train. I can't imagine a world where we don't have people who think that way, who think that it's probably nothing. Somebody else is watching it. No, they've got cameras there. It's a shame that the Air Force treated me the way that they did, because I just wanted to protect my state, because they needed someone. They needed someone. And not enough people wanted to be that someone. Not enough people think that way. And if you took a military entrance exam before you went to college, at the very least, it might tell you what you're good at. And it might tell you that you need to do something with your life. You need to help people. You need to stay awake, stay aware, speak up for yourself, fight for your democracy. Thank you, Jaden. I'm glad that I could turn you on to new podcasters and different ways of thinking. When you think about role models and heroes, you should always think that you could be one, because I want you, when you are ready, and if you are able to, start a podcast, start a Twitch account, start speaking to people. Learning to reach out to people, share a life story, a life lesson, share your opinion on current events. It matters. Your opinion always matters, and I want young people to learn that. So Clint, I know you are stressed out over it. I mean, I'm stressed out. I live in Los Angeles, and I'll tell you like a little story of I was in a dollar store, and these two kids run up to me, and I'm a complete stranger, and I was always taught, please don't talk to strangers, please don't. But they talk to me and they say, Father's Day is coming up, what would you prefer, flowers or some other gift, or a card? I think I didn't even answer them. I don't really like talking to young people because they should have role models. They should have people that they talk to already. And I don't want to take the place of that. I mean, I'm a mess. I'm a veteran who is disabled, who freaks out in public. It's kind of embarrassing. But I'm also a veteran who fights for human rights, fights for LGBTQ equality, fights for environmental rights, and fights for children's health. So maybe at some point it won't be so weird to have kids want to talk to me. I mean, when you set goals like that for yourself, I don't think you have the luxury of ignoring that some people might find that kind of cool. Okay, let me read what you said, Jaden. Can a teacher hold you back? Completely illegal. Completely illegal. I'm going to advise you to speak to your parents about legal counsel. Even if it's a behavioral thing, I don't see within reason why anyone should stop you from that. So speak to your parents, speak to a lawyer. Because that is physically damaging, that's psychologically damaging. Oh, thank you. I want you to have friends that you can talk to of your own age who exemplify the kind of ideals that you see in someone like me, because those are the people that you want to keep in your life. Like I said, I'm a disabled veteran of a certain age. I want you to be able to find people that you can carry throughout the decades as true, honest people that you like to have in your life because they make it better. They make you want to be better too. At the end of this week, I go out into the world, unfortunately. And I have to say that I'm gonna love having my own tent, because that means that I can live away from people. I don't know where that is, but after being attacked by people twice, I don't know. At this point, I will see you in court over my legal right to escape hate crimes. But I have lawyers, apparently, who should be reaching out to me at some point this week. So I will keep my fans updated. Not everything, obviously, because, you know, attorney-client privilege, but I will try and give updates as to what is going on. But California has to become better. And it's where I live right now, and it's a place that needs me. Place that doesn't really want me, but it's a place that needs me. And a place that I think has potential. It just needs guidance. So you just came from school. I want you to finish your homework. Straight A students are allowed in my chat. Anything lower than an A, you're not allowed in my chat. And we use the honor code, so obviously try and do your best, because it only helps. Why hide the fact that you are brilliant? Be brilliant. And get the grades to show that. So today was painful, but I don't know. It's kind of amazing when I see how far I've come as an individual and how far I'm willing to go to make a change in this world. I really do intend to be the mutant ambassador, because I am a mutant, genetically. And I think people need heroes. They need people to do podcasts. They need people to connect, try new things, and push for change. The idea that things suck and have to be that way forever, that's old-fashioned. If you feel passionate about something, there's so many platforms. I have change.org actually asking if I want to demo a new app, because I constantly do petitions. I don't know, I'm not a politician, but I write things that could be laws. What does that tell you? You should be involved in the democratic process. Anybody could be involved in the democratic process. And the democratic process could be anything from, social injustice to, school rights. And remember that even as a kid, you always have rights. And if you need to, speak to an adult and have it explained to you what is appropriate given a situation. Stay informed. All right, Jaden? This is Ian Iliana of I Hate LA, Love Me Anyway, a podcast of believers, dreamers, entrepreneurs, doers. If we want change in America, we can't just wait around for elections. We have to talk about the changes we want. We have to convince people to care about the issues that are passionate to, well, I mean, that we're passionate about, I guess is a better way to put that. I am exhausted. I make mistakes sometimes, and sometimes you just have to laugh it out. You have to say, I made a mistake, and that's okay. I can correct it. You don't have to be the perfect orator to reach someone. But sometimes if you make a mistake, it makes you a little bit more human, a little bit more relatable. I didn't really want to, freak out in the middle of a courthouse screaming and going on and sweating profusely. And it's embarrassing, but it's also liberating to say, I'm affected by what happened to me, but I want justice. Justice is a little slow, but even the state of California has to admit that there is merit to my case. So the chase continues for justice. Environmental justice will wait for no person. So on my next podcast, I will talk about change.org/clear LA smog again, my petition to change roads from asphalt and cement to recycled materials. It's really important to see this done because more people should be using public transportation, but if people keep using cars and cars that aren't electric, we have to find a way to reduce pollution because pollution creates a future that we don't want to live in. We're living in it right now, but we don't want it to get worse. So change.org/clear LA smog is a start toward a better, brighter future, changing how America drives. I'm Ian Iliana. This has been I Hate LA, Love Me Anyway. I'll see you on the next podcast at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.